All right, guys, what's up? It's Jack, and welcome back to another video. So, the Call of Duty team, as of yesterday, put out a statement talking about skill-based matchmaking, and I'm seeing content creators left and right basically saying things like, "Finally, they're finally talking about it," or "We won," or things like that, or and I'm just sitting there, and I'm like, dude, we haven't won anything. Has anything been changed? As a matter of fact, things have been getting worse over the years. And again, I'm going to read this statement to you in a minute that they put up. And if you're a person that's able to read between the lines, you can certainly sense, to a certain degree, some damage control and some bullshit thrown in there. And as you guys know, with Call of Duty as of recently, or in anything for that matter, if you you can put lipstick on a pig, but it'll still be a pig. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, as long as this algorithm that they've been working on over, the years or whatnot remains to be a thing in the game, then it's going to ruin any Call of Duty that comes out, basically. Even if you were to remaster one of the greatest Call of Duties ever, like let's say Black Ops 2, let's say they were to remaster that and release that in the way that we remember it, right? Because of this algorithm that's taken place, people are they're not going to have a fun experience. As a matter of fact, there was a point in time during Black Ops either 2 or 1 to where, skill-based matchmaking seemed to be cranked up. And even back then, the community had some backlash about that. And basically the devs had to update the game and they kind of reverted it, so to speak. So just some food for thought on that. But let's read this little article, so to speak, shall we? And it reads, and I quote, "We know that there's a lot of interest in the matchmaking experience, especially around how skill contributes to how lobbies and matches are put together. Nothing is more important to us than the experience players have with the game, and matchmaking is a big part of that. We've been working on our matchmaking system for well over 10 years, and we continue to spend a ton of time and energy on improving the matchmaking process. This involves people working at our Call of Duty studios, our back-end services teams at MWIII, and other groups like our Player Insights team. It's a large effort that we've been working on for many years, and our approach combines latency, search time, and skill, along with many other factors. Try to find the best match experience for you. Talking about this topic in detail can be hard, and we haven't spent the time to pull together all of our work to share with you our insights and improvements over the many years. We're working forward to doing just that in the coming weeks after Season 1 launches, and we'll also make it a part of our ongoing discussions with the community, the Call of Duty team." So it's like, come on, guys. How can you not detect some, how can your, red flags not be raising, so to speak, right? So it's like, look, if they actually had to, if there are so many factors into it, look, the only factor that needs to be in there is the connection. Ping is king should be the only factor as far as pubs are concerned, and then after that, I guess they can do, a little bit of team balancing or whatnot at most if they need to. But that's it. It's not really rocket science when you're explaining things. So basically what they're telling you, okay, the translation of this is, like, we're going to prepare a statement and we're going to we're going to cherry pick certain questions, or we might, the way I see it is that they're probably going to have one of their, a few members of the dev team talk about it, to where one of them is going to be asking the other one questions, and it's going to be very specific questions that they're going to be ready to answer, as opposed to something like, oh, okay, let's turn on the stream and we'll answer any random person's question about this particular topic. But even if they were to do that, they can still kind of cherry pick which question they want to answer and not answer. Because if people start bringing up the patent, and if people start bringing up, all that stuff, do you think they're going to talk about that? No. Do you think they're actually going to talk about what we want them to talk about? No. They're going to mix and match and basically cherry pick what they're going to talk about. People are going to be leaving asking more questions, or people are going to be like, hey, this was a waste of time. You're not answering questions. You're kind of beating around the bush. I mean, when they were originally asked, I think on Reddit or whatever it was that they had, and people were flooding questions about skill-based matchmaking, what happened? What was the response? They were radio silent. It was nothing but crickets. So it was, and this is a few days later. I don't know how long. I don't know. Maybe this is a week later, something like that. And what did they give us? They gave us like a two small paragraph response that basically, obviously doesn't answer anything that we didn't already know, and at the same time it tries to sugarcoat things, right? Like they say, they try to find the best, you know, nothing's more important to them than that. Well, if nothing is more important to you than finding the best matchmaking experience possible, then why has it gotten worse over the years instead of better? You know, answer that question. And it's because of all these other factors that are put in the game, like the stuff that's mentioned in the patent, so to speak, right? And it's very hard, if not, actually, it's not really that possible to give anybody the best experience when you've got an algorithm like that in place, right? And they've been working on it for years. I mean, even if you go back 10 years ago, and you look at the connection in older Call of Duty titles from 10 years ago till about Black Ops 4, I think you're going to find a much more consistent experience, you know, from what your memory is going to say, compared to what we get now. Are there a few, you know, are there a few banana peels and a few bumps in the road? Sure. It is Call of Duty. It is a multiplayer game. It's not going to be perfect no matter what. But, you know, like when you look at, for instance, a game like Call of Duty Ghosts, which is, right now it's more appreciated than ever. But when you look at a Call of Duty Ghosts, for instance, that wasn't as well received after Black Ops 2, you know, because it followed Black Ops 2 and their approach was different or whatnot. One of the things that Call of Duty Ghosts was definitely remembered for was the hit detection being pretty damn solid and the connection being pretty damn solid. So Infinity Ward was definitely praised for that. As a matter of fact, another thing that people praised Call of Duty Ghosts for was the DLC. You know, to this day, they all say it's some of the best DLC that we've ever had post-launch. So yeah, I mean, come on. Call of Duty Ghosts got better over time, which again gives me, you know, that much more faith in Mark Rubin and with XDefiant if we're going to go off of, you know, historical evidence, because he was in charge of Call of Duty Ghosts. So therefore, you know, if XDefiant were to be a little bit rough when it first launches, you know it's going to get better, especially when it comes to things like DLC and receiving feedback and stuff like that. And again, he's been transparent, you know, so it's like, dude. So, and another thing I want to say is, like, a lot of those content creators, guys, you know, the ones that have bigger numbers or whatnot, and I don't care if how honest they've been and stuff over the years. Let me tell you something, man. Call of Duty is their job. You know, even if they're not going to the Activision headquarters or whatnot, even though they haven't been, you know, invited to events and stuff like that, you know, one thing I'm starting to notice with some of these guys is that they're doing something like this statement here. They're sprinkling, you know, some sugar on the BS. Like, they're mixing in, you know, some positive things along with negative things, which, you know, obviously makes sense. But at the same time, it's their job, right? Their job is to get YouTube views. You know, it's part of how they make a living. So, and to a certain extent, they're promoting the game, right? So it's like, you can't really fully trust these people. Not all of them, especially the pro players or organizations that play the game, or even retired pros. You can't trust these guys, you know, because the majority of them, if not all of them, are not going to be honest about things, because again, they still want to retain views, whether it's for streams or videos or whatever it is. They still need to retain views because they're still playing Call of Duty, even though some of them are retired. You know, but that's where the views are. That's where the majority of their viewers, you know, that's what they want to see. They want to see this player play COD, even though they're a retired player or whatever. It's because that's what they're known for, right? They're known for COD, despite the fact that they could also do other things and expand there, which some of them are doing as well. But, you know, they want to have their cake and eat it too. You know, nobody wants to take a pay cut, so to speak, despite the fact that some of these people are millionaires, right? So they will throw in some bullshit in there in order to try to, you know, keep their views up. And at the same time, what are they doing? They're promoting the game, you know, in a sense. So it is what it is. It's a tale as old as time. This happens in traditional business. This happens on other things that are not related to video games. And unfortunately, it's how the cookie crumbles. There's a very, very small percentage of people out there that are truly transparent and truly honest when it comes to certain things. And at the end, it all comes down to money. So yeah, the only question I have is, why are they talking about it now? And I'm pretty sure it's not from the, you know, it's not from the goodness of their heart, you know, even though sometimes I feel bad for Sledgehammer, I'm sure there's another reason as to why they're talking about it. And obviously they had to wait until they came out with a statement like this in order to address it, right? They didn't talk about it right then and there. So guys, they're gonna address skill-based matchmaking the way they want to address it. So don't be surprised if you end up having more questions, or if you end up saying, wow, this address, so to speak, was just a waste of time and it was business as usual. So it is what it is, man, because at the end of the day, it is a business, and they're going to try to, they care about numbers, man. You know, and the thing is, even though the devs may understand where we're coming from, at the end of the day, you know, the devs, you know, they need to put food on their table as well. So if that means keeping those numbers up, then, you know, then they will find a way to sugarcoat it. It is what it is, and I hate to be, I hate to sound negative about it, but I'm just being real here. This is the way things are, unfortunately. And again, sometimes you see some of these content creators that you know, were 100% transparent in the past, but now all of a sudden, you know, they're trying to, you know, they're even doing a form of damage control as well, to a certain degree. And you basically, you just have to kind of look between the lines and see that, you know, it's just one of those things, man, that you can't really hide. You know, it's either, you can't, you know, of course there's some there could be some positives about games that are about the game that's coming up, but at the end of the day, if you put lipstick on a pig, it'll still be a pig. So in other words, what I'm trying to say is, as long as an algorithm like this remains in place for the game, no matter what they do to improve the game or try to improve the game with content that's going to come out for the game in the future, it's going to ruin it. It's going to ruin it. They could bring back Black Ops 2 and perfectly remaster it with all the bells and whistles and everything that we remember. But again, people are going to be complaining about it. People are basically going to end up saying, at the end of the day, it's like, wow, what a way to disrespect a great game when it came out, you know, 10 plus years ago or whatnot, right? Because of this algorithm or whatnot. It just goes to show you that this, you know, matchmaking system that is in place, that in and of itself is something that can ruin the entire thing. And for those of you guys that have been around here long enough, you guys know that I like to make food analogies, right? I mean, you can have the best pizza made with the best ingredients, but then all of a sudden you add in that one ingredient that you absolutely despise, it's going to ruin the whole thing. You know, if you were to put a bunch of anchovies on the pizza, and if you don't like anchovies, you're just not going to like the pizza. It's not like you're going to be like, oh yeah, I'll deal with it, I'll eat it, you know, I'll eat it every day. No, you're not. It's gonna ruin the experience, man. It's gonna be a cringe thing to try to eat, despite the fact that everything, it was made fresh and the dough was perfect, everything was cooked perfect. But all of a sudden, there's this one major ingredient, anchovies, in there, you know, that just ruins the entire thing. So basically what I'm trying to say is that this skill-based matchmaking algorithm, or this matchmaking algorithm that we know about, is ruining the entire experience for everybody. I think a lot of people would be a lot more excited and a lot more positive about the game if this didn't exist in the first place, you know? And again, we've been saying this forever. Ping is king. Number one, ping needs to be king. And then after that, maybe you can do a team balancing, and then that'll be that, right? So right now, it seems like ping is taking less of a priority, and then you've got another 40 to 50% of something else that's being included. And in some cases, you know, if the game thinks you're a really great player, it's like ping might even be the last resort. You never know. It might prioritize other things instead of ping. And again, a lot of things can happen mid-match as well, which is something that the patent seems to have stated as well. So, but anyway, I think I've said everything that I need to say in this particular video. I know it lasted a little bit longer than I wanted it to, but I just had to get that out there. So yeah, at the end of the day, you're going to have to basically read between the lines yourself and basically decide for yourself what is legit and what is not. And again, a lot of these other big name influencers, whether they're, you know, pro players or organizations of the pro players, or you know, retired pro players or whatnot, you really can't trust anybody nowadays from what it seems online. So you're going to kind of have to make a decision for yourself. You know, you're going to have to look at things and just make a decision for yourself, and, you know, decide whether or not it's good enough for you. And don't let anybody's influence, including YouTubers, any content creators or whatnot, you know, don't let anybody influence your decision on whether or not you enjoy something, right? You're either going to enjoy something or you're not. You know, going back to that pizza analogy, you know, are you gonna, like, you know, you hate anchovies, but you're eating it, you know, are you going to let somebody else's, you know, opinion on anchovies influence whether or not you are going to continue to eat a pizza that you absolutely despise? Of course not. You know, nobody can make you like a certain food, right? You either like it or you don't. And the same thing applies here. So at the end of the day, if it's good enough for you, and if you're enjoying it, and if you are going to, you know, if you're going to eat up everything that these devs and pro players and stuff like that feed at you, but if you're having fun with it, then that's fine. You know, whatever, you know, continue to do your thing. But at the end of the day, if you don't, then don't force it. There's many other games to play. There's upcoming games that are going to be exciting to play, and, you know, there's always something that you can play, you know, in order to enjoy your time playing video games. So but yeah, that's pretty much it, guys. So thank you all for taking the time to watch and or listen. And I want to know in the comment section what you guys think of this. What did you think about this statement? Did this sound good to you? Did this not sound good to you? Because overall, I'm sitting here just shaking my head when I first, seen some of these videos come out from some of these YouTubers, like finally, and we won. It's like we haven't won anything until the algorithm gets eliminated. We haven't won anything, and time will tell whether or not that'll happen. And so far, all evidence points to no. But you never know sometimes. But anyway, that's all I got, guys. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.